Alright, hello and welcome to another Boss Constructor progress report. As usual, I'm going to give you like a brief 10-15 minute summary of what I've been working on and what you can expect to see in the upcoming weeks and months. This is sort of a special episode because first of all, there's a whole lot of content which has been added, and secondly because this is actually the last progress report on the alpha phase of the game. So we are transitioning into beta, and I'll talk about a little bit about that at the end of the video. But let's begin by talking about the exploration mode. So far the exploration mode has been sort of functional and working, but it has first of all lacked sort of a backstory, and second of all it was a bit confusing because I've added a lot of concepts which were not always intuitive to understand and which were often confusing not only to new players but also to players who have been following the game for a long time. So first of all, we now have a backstory which was written by our story author and which will be presented both in the form of text and some background artwork which was drawn by our key artwork artist. And currently there's only like one image and like one chapter of text, but obviously a lot will be added later on, which will explain and tell the story of your struggle against the von Neumann enemies. Okay, so within the exploration mode, you will notice a lot of changes. First of all, the galaxy map design has changed a lot. So we now have clearly marked borders between different factions of human colonists, and we have a fog of war. So there's part of the galaxy which is not explored right from the beginning and which you have to explore in order to know what is going on over there. You will also notice that you have these unexplored sectors which contain missions as usual, but you will also notice these guys which represent shops which you have liberated earlier on. So for example, this is a module trader and this is a tech lab, and you can now directly access these over the galaxy map. So you no longer have these galaxy shops and galaxy tech labs, which were a bit confusing to be honest, but the shops which you have liberated can be accessed directly. And it gets even better because the offer of these shops will increase as you complete more mission objectives, which I will talk about next. So when hovering over one of these uncompleted sectors, you will get basically a list of two different goals and objectives. One is the primary objective and one is the secondary. This has also been simplified and streamlined a lot. So basically completing the primary objective will have the effect of unlocking more sectors for you to explore. So basically doing the primary objective is required in order for you to progress through the game. And the secondary objective will increase your standing with the sector's faction. Increasing the standing has different effects. First of all, the obvious effect is that it will unlock more modules and higher quality modules. So for example, this is faction 7, which specializes in resource processing. So these are the modules which are offered by faction 7, and by increasing your standing, so we are currently appreciated, but we can go much higher than that, you will get access to better modules and higher quality modules. So for example, at the moment we can buy legendary ore containers, which is like the tier 1 module of this tech branch, but by going further we can at some point also buy legendary ore extractors. There are also additional effects. So for example, raising your standing by 2 levels will reveal a part of the map which belongs to the faction. Getting past levels 4 and 8 will give you a discount in the shops belonging to that faction, and getting past level 6 will unlock all the jump gates, which might be faster than going through each sector. Yeah, so I think the new faction system, by the way, like faction 7 is just a placeholder. It will be like really a real story defined faction which will be added later on. Same is true for these emblems which will be replaced. But still, I think the new faction system is a big improvement over previous stuff. Next, let's talk about the research system. So previously, the research system worked by offering research points which could be collected and afterwards spent on unlocking a module. This has also been streamlined, but also enhanced. So now it works by discovering modules, for example in the exploration mode. So if you buy or salvage a module, this specific module will become unlocked in the quality that you acquired. So for example, if you pick up a fragile version of a module, you will from now on be able to build that fragile version in the ship editor. And of course, if you want to have everything, you need to collect everything. And yeah, so together with that, we have now the option of using non-standard quality modules in the editor. So if you feel like building a cheap ship out of sub-quality modules, you can now do so. But you can also, if you have researched them, use like really high quality modules to build like really, really powerful and compact ship. Alright, that's it for the research system. Next up, and requested by many players, is the endless mode, which is pretty much what it sounds like. So you select a ship in the ship hangar or the editor, and are then presented with a number of waves of enemies for you to fight against. You can select a difficulty level, and in addition to this level, the difficulty of the enemies you will encounter depends on the ship you have chosen. So if you choose a very small ship, the waves will be easier than if you choose a very, very big and powerful ship. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So after each wave you can repair and upgrade your ship based on what you've picked up. And after every third wave you can visit a trader which will have a random selection of modules for you to purchase and to sell unwanted modules. Yeah, I should say that balancing is still pretty premature in this mode. The difficulty curve is relatively flat at the beginning and will rise pretty sharply after a certain point. So yeah, let me know what your experience is and how far you've gotten. Next up, score screens. This applies to the endless mode, but also to all other game modes. Basically, after you have completed a sector, so basically after using the jump gate, you will get a brief summary of what has happened, like what ships you have destroyed, what types of modules you have salvaged, and so on. Yeah, it doesn't really have a further function, but it's pretty nice to look at, and it calculates like a pseudo-meaningful number based on what has happened. Next up, custom boss enemies. So now you can literally construct boss enemies in Boss Constructor. I'm not going to go too deep into how to do it. I've actually written a guide which I recommend you to read if you're interested in doing so. And yeah, so definitely give it a try. And if you've come up with an interesting boss, do share it in the discussion boards with other players, so that they can get smashed by your creation. There are also some other improvements, but I guess from a general perspective, the main difference is that we are now in beta. What does it mean? Well, if you have a look at the roadmap, it basically means that the base mechanics are now implemented and working. It doesn't mean that everything is perfect yet, and it doesn't mean that everything will necessarily be in the final version as it is now, but the base mechanics are working, and I have sort of a clear road ahead regarding what to do next and how to further advance the game. So next up is the beta phase, which will be about providing additional content and about polishing the content that is in the game. I will focus on improving the AI modes, which are a bit hard to understand at the moment. I will add a lot of content to the story mode, which is both artwork and backstory texts and like faction descriptions, faction artwork, and so on. Next up, the mission mode is going to become a challenge mode, in which you have a set of like more or less interesting objectives and restrictions for you to use to achieve a high score. As high a score as you can, I should say. Next up, sound effects definitely need to be improved. Same goes for balancing, which is very premature at the moment. We will also increase the number of modules to 70. And I think a big point will be better performance. So I think like 90% of the time people will not have problems with performance in the game. But I am aware that there are like really serious frame drops from time to time, especially when there's a lot of action going on. So I'm going to do a lot of benchmarking, profiling, and recoding parts of the graphics stack in order to make the game more efficient and more smoothly. Alright, so yeah, definitely progress being made, and I'm pretty happy with how things have advanced in the past year almost. I mean, it's almost a year since early access has started, and I'm pretty much looking forward towards doing the beta phase and getting closer to the actual release. So as usual, thank you very much for buying and playing the game, for contributing by leaving your thoughts and ideas in the discussion board, for voting in game, and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye.